Morning guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. So, I've been getting a lot of questions about these glass boats. So what they are, how I made them, what's inside, that's what the video is about. But first, let me get some light. Alexa, Vita an. Alexa, Vita, danke. Alexa, stopp. Alexa, stopp. Alexa, stop! Meine Fresse. So to answer your question, what's inside? Inside these glass bowls is my mini orchid collection. Mini orchids are a whole little world of their own. Unlike the big showy orchids you see in stores, these ones like Lepanthes and Platystele here for example, stay tiny their whole lives. Some of them are no bigger than a fingernail. And their flowers are absolutely microscopic but incredibly detailed. So, in this video I will show you how I build them, how I take care of them, how I clean them, how I fertilize them, everything you need to know to build one yourself. I meant to build an orchid terrarium, of course, not to build an orchid. So, let's get started. So the first thing you need obviously is a mini orchid. I'm using a Lepanthes Calodiction, let's just put the name on the screen. It's a tiny orchid native to the cloud forests of Colombia and Ecuador. So super humid, misty places where it grows on mossy tree branches. What makes it really special is those leaves. They look like stained glass with this amazing veined pattern that catches the light. It stays small, it loves humidity, and it blooms these little cute reddish flowers that almost look like tiny creatures if you zoom in. Definitely one of my favorite orchids to grow in a terrarium. Mini orchids usually come mounted on a piece of wood, like this cork bark here. They can actually grow on it for quite a long time before they get too big. But I like to simulate nature a little more, so instead of using the full piece, I decided to break the cork apart and soften the edges a bit, just to make it feel more like a natural tree branch you'd find in the wild. The little metal piece is the hook. I leave it in because we need it later. So what I'm doing now is gluing a piece of driftwood to the cork, and I use super glue for that. Just make sure the wood you're using is completely dried out before you start. I recommend using wood that is safe for terrariums or aquariums, like cork bark or driftwood in this example. To attach it to my base wood, I use a trick that a lot of aquascapers use, just a bit of super glue and a tiny ball of toilet paper. The glue reacts with the paper and hardens almost instantly. Just make sure not to breathe in the smoke from the chemical reaction and wear gloves all the time. And because I like extra detail, I glue some small branches to the wood. This part is optional, but it looks much better, so trust me. Now I prepare the orchid before attaching it to the wood. So I trim off some of the sphagnum moss here. Be careful not to damage the roots. And now it's time to attach the orchid to the branch we created. I just plug it in between the tiny branches and it's looking super cool, I think. Almost like in nature. So next step. Now I'm attaching a bit of moss to the sphagnum moss that's covering the orchid's roots. The moss helps to keep the humidity up and creates this soft, moisture retaining layer around the base. I'm using boost moss here because it's very slow growth. You don't want it to overgrow the orchid. So now we're almost done. Now we just need a glass container. I use these glass bowls I found online, but you can use anything with a small opening like this one. Just keep in mind you have to mist it regularly, and also the smaller the opening is, the less airflow you get. So you want to have the perfect mix of airflow and humidity. I also add a small layer of soil here. I'm using jungle soil by the brand Dua. The soil helps to collect excess water, and also I like to grow a bit of moss on the bottom too. So the last part is to gently plug in the orchid with its branch. And now you can actually see why I left the metal hook in, because I can just plug it through the hole in the back here, and this way I can perfectly hang it inside the glass bowl. You don't need to hang it, you can also put it on the bottom if you don't have a hole in the back, but in my case I thought it looks great. So now that our little orchid terrarium is ready, let's talk about maintenance. To keep my orchids happy, I mist them every day with RO water. Just a light spray to keep the humidity up and the moss moist. RO stands for reverse osmosis. It's super pure water with all the minerals and impurities filtered out. That's important for delicate orchids like Lepanthes, because tap water often contains salts, chlorine or minerals that can build up and damage their roots over time, especially in such a small closed environment like these bowls. It's a small step, but it really makes a big difference in the long run. You could also use distilled water, or if you have super clean rainwater. So to show you how I clean them, let me get one of them off the wall and follow me. Almost forgot you're just internet people, so I guess I have to carry you over. Oh, Jesus. So here we are in the kitchen. So I have these toothbrushes for dogs, and it's a new one. And I'm gonna use this. So at first I spray it with a bit of RO water, and then I get the dog toothbrush here, and I'm just brushing off all the buildup on the glass that is mostly from the soil, sometimes from the fertilizer I use, but I rarely fertilize this with orchid fertilizer, just once a month. And just a very small dose. So once I'm done with brushing off all the buildup, I pour excess water out of this little hole here in the back, and then I just put it back on the wall. That's it, my little world of orchid terrariums. And of course, if you want to see more builds like this, terrarium, aquarium content, plant care tips, DIY projects, or you just want to hang out with me in this green little corner again, feel free to subscribe. So, until next time guys, take care of your plants and yourself. See you soon, bye!